be kicking off the Q&A here. Drummer needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. A drummer is never late, but he only arrives when he intends to. Vinny, if you guys, do you want to do an introduction, or do you want to take questions right away?
Yeah, questions are great.
All right, if anyone wants to do questions, you can do a mic, or if you just want to speak loudly. Any questions for Vinny to start off with right off the bat?
Yeah, if anybody doesn't know who I played with,
you're in the wrong room.
My name is Vinny Appice. I've been straight for 2 years now. Actually, I've been straight the whole time, except for a couple times.
One time.
I'll be honest, when we made Holy Diver, you heard Holy Diver? Yeah. Fucking stoned out of my mind. That's how we wrote that stuff. Actually, there's a song on Holy Diver called Invisible, right? So we rehearsed at Sound City Studios, which is, you heard about from Dave Grohl with the movie and the whole thing. Well, we were there way before that. And Sound City has a rehearsal side with a couple of rooms, and then there's a parking lot, and then you go into the building in this side, and that's the recording studio. And so we rehearsed on one of the rooms here, and they let us do anything we wanted to do. It was just crazy. So, because we were the only band in there most of the time, you know, so we used to destroy the place. You're late. Do you have a note?
Sorry.
Okay. Well, excuse you this time, but, you know, 2 more times, you're out. So we did, we rehearsed there, and then when we wrote 4 songs, we would drag all the gear across to the studio. And I mean really drag it. We took the cymbal with the cymbal stand, with the cymbal on it, but we didn't break down anything. We just brought it in the studio. We recorded 4 songs, then we brought it all the way back and wrote 4 more songs. So there's a song called Invisible, and we had one riff, I think the first riff, of dum dum da boom 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 bam, and we'd record everything on a cassette player, Tascam. And our guy Angelo, who's the guy who recorded the album, he would be in charge of recording this stuff and just, you know, laying down these riffs, like, that's a cool riff, record it, and we play it again. So we did that, and then the next night we came in, smoked a couple of joints, and then we said, Angelo, play that riff we had, you know, let's start on that. He goes, okay, and he puts the tape in backwards, upside down. Tascam, you can turn the tape around so it plays backwards, right? So he plays it, and it's playing backwards, and we're all going, oh yeah, stoned out, you jerk, yeah. We're ranking on him, you know, and then we go, wait a minute, that sounds really good. Because we were stoned, right? So that's a cool riff. So we learned the riff backwards, right? Then we put it together with the original riff, which is forward. And we had the song, right? So, go figure. Well, probably if we were straight, we wouldn't have did that, but it worked. And in that song, Ronnie wanted to have an intro. The song's called Invisible. He wanted to, one of these things, like a whoosh. And we didn't have computers back then, so we're talking about it. I go, it sounds like air escaping from a tire. I go, do we have a tire? And our guy Tom, this guy, one of the road crew, I got a tire in my truck. Bring it in. So he brings the tire in, spare tire, brings it in the studio. Now we're miking the tire up, right? I think that was the first time a tire has been mic'd in Sound City, and probably the last. And then we went in the room and it was all right. I go, okay, you ready, Tom? 1, 2, 3, and he let the air out. And then we did it like 3 takes till the tire was flat, and we had it. And then I don't know what they put an effect on it and stuff, and that's the beginning of that song. I go, boom.
Oh, wow.
So we were just, the reason why that album is so I'm not tooting my own horn, but it's still selling like crazy.
Yeah.
And it's 38 years old, and it's considered such a rock classic is because we had a lot of fun in making that record. And when you're in the, you know, there's good vibe around and you're writing this stuff, anything can happen. And there was never any boundaries. Like, nobody ever said, you can't do that. You can't go from C to B flat and this, nothing. Let's hear it, you know. I'm still like that too. Sometimes I make crazy suggestions like that. And I go, whoa, no, you can't do that. I said, why not? Let's hear it. Let's hear what it sounds like. It might sound really interesting. So we get minds wide open, you know. And so that song was one of the really freaky songs, you know. The other thing we did on that record is Ronnie and I played with Black Sabbath before, right? So everywhere we went, there was all this people protesting, you know. We was trying to play Phoenix on Easter Sunday, and they protested. They were out there with crosses and Bibles and stuff. They said, you guys can't play on Easter Sunday, right? That's how innocent the world was back then. Now you can go kill somebody on Easter Sunday and, you know, it's okay. So we had to move the gig to Monday. And then always got accused of putting backwards stuff on the records. You know, like you play it backwards, you're gonna die, or something's gonna happen. So we never did put anything backwards on the Sabbath records. But when we did Holy Diver, I said to Ronnie, all I gotta do is make a suggestion. He likes to mess around, right? I said, let's put something backwards on the record. Give them what they were asking for. So he goes, yeah, let's do that. So at the end of the last song, we did something and it's backwards. You hear the song fade out and then you hear this backwards thing come in. It's very, you gotta listen for it. But Ronnie said, crucify the diver, and we turned it backwards. And that's what's on that, the end of that song. And nobody mentioned it once. When we didn't do it, it got mentioned all the time. When we did it, nobody said anything. It's crazy. So that's a couple of little interesting stories. How about some questions? You guys got some questions?
How did it happen you and your brother...
You didn't raise your hand. You're out of here.
How did it happen you and your brother both played drums?
How did we both wind up playing drums? My brother Carmine, of course, he's 11 years older than I. He's a famous drummer. And when he was just starting, he had the band in the house rehearsing in Brooklyn. You know, he had the local band, they were playing dates and stuff like that, and I was like 8, 9 years old, and I'd sit on the floor in this room and see a live band. And I was amazed. Wow, this is so cool. And I watched Carmine play and this and that. And on a normal day, you would go, hang on, call security. But since we're here, welcome.
Yeah, but he's late with no note.
Okay. Well, you'll have to check the shovel at the front desk. Yeah. So Carmine would rehearse with the band. I'm like 8, 9 years old, and I'm like really eating this all up. Here's a live band. That was my entertainment. We didn't have computers, we didn't have the internet. You know, there was my entertainment, so I was inspired by that. And then Carmine always left a set of drums at the house, so I started playing. And then little by little, Carmine got into the band called Vanilla Fudge, and they became big. And then I started taking it more seriously, and then he would hear me play. We'd come home. He moved out of the house. Then when he'd come home, I played stuff for him. He goes, man, he's really good. He told my mother, have him go to drum lessons. So I went to drum lessons to the same guy that Carmine did. His name was Dick Bennett, and he just passed away last year. And I went to the same books, all that stuff. And then I hooked up. So you got to be in the right place in the right time in the music business, right? Or network. You know, if you sit, you know, there's no communication, nothing's going to happen. Well, maybe it will, but you're better off, you know, spreading the word. Like, so when I was 16, I got hooked up with this band. They were my friends from Brooklyn, and actually that guy Angelo, who I talked about, who's turned the tape upside down, he was my best buddy. We grew up together in Brooklyn. He was the bass player. And we hooked up with Jimmy Iovine, who did Beats Audio and Interscope Records, and he was started out as a producer at the record plant. And he brought us in, he loved us. We had 4 horns, it was a great band, real tight. And he brought us into the record plant studios, and he did demos, right? So they liked us so much at the record plant, the owner signed us to a management deal. We had a rehearsal room like that. So we're rehearsing, this is in Manhattan, which is great to have a free rehearsal room. So while we're upstairs rehearsing, we get a phone call from Jimmy. He goes, hey, can you guys come down and do hand claps on this record? And we go, yeah, sure. So we go downstairs. We were on the 10th floor, we go down on the 1st floor. We look, go in the studio, there's John Lennon. Holy shit. Hello, I'm 16, right? I had to go to high school the next day. So, there's John Lennon. Now we put the headphones on. Now he's talking to you in the headphones. So it's like, oh my God, you know, this is crazy. So we wound up doing hand claps on Whatever Gets You Through the Night, with the song he did with Elton John. That's me and my band doing hand claps on that song.
Oh, cool.
And then we met him afterward, and that was that. And then Jimmy must have told them they rehearse upstairs. It's a really good band, you know. So a couple days later, we're rehearsing. John walks in, right? Talk about your muscles cramping, right? Going, oh, holy shit! And he sits down, and he's watching us play. I go, oh my God, this is amazing. So thereafter, he kept coming up, and because we never said, hey, can we take a picture? Can you sign this? We didn't bug him that way. So he felt safe. He came up, he hung up, we played pool with him, I smoked joints with him, you know. He wanted Coke, but I didn't do Coke. He said, no, but I got a joint, and we smoked a joint together. And then he asked us to do a couple of songs in the studio for his DVD. And then we did another session where he produced the owner of the record plant's wife. So he was the producer. And we worked with him as a producer for 8 songs. Then he asked us to do a live TV show. And we did it at the New York Hilton. And it was a black tie affair, right? So everybody's in the tuxedo. The mayor's there, Shirley MacLaine, Tom Jones, you know, all these big wigs, right? So John won, the show was about this guy, Lou Grade from England. He's an entertainment billionaire guy. John doesn't like him. John thought this guy was two-faced. So he said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go get masks made of your face, everybody in the band, and put it on the back of your head and have no hair. And you wear black jumpsuits, shiny jumpsuits, and John's going to wear a red one. I said, okay. So then we made arrangements, and we get in the van in Manhattan. John gets in with us. We go get masks made. And then we had to go get fitted for the jumpsuits. He came with us in the van, you know, big van thing. He came with us. So it was really cool. We were hanging out with John. And so we come out on stage, and here's 9 guys, no hair, 2 faces, in jumpsuits, and John comes out with a red jumpsuit in this black tie affair to show this guy that he doesn't like him, you know. So, and I found out a couple of years ago that that was his last live appearance. Oh, and I'm sitting there going, I played John Lennon's last live appearance. You gotta be kidding me. Kid from Brooklyn, New York. And I was 16. So during these days, I used to go back to high school, and the teacher would be teaching, and I'd be there, you know, 2 hands, you know. She's trying to teach. She's going, wait a minute, who's that drumming? And she'd point to me, Vincent, stop that drumming. And I stood up and I go, hey, did anyone else in this room play with one of the Beatles last night? And I left. I quit school. I later on got the GED thing, you know, all that stuff. But I used those years to really pursue. From there, I was in that studio, Record Plant Studios. I met Rick Derringer, and that was my first band. He heard me play on the tapes we did, and he wondered who the drummer was. And then Jimmy Iovine said, that's Carmine's brother, so that's how I hooked up. That was my first band. But Aerosmith was in there, Jay Giles, there was so many people in that studio. So it was a good place to meet and network, you know. So that's how I got started. I played with Rick Derringer, three albums, and that was that. And then later on I moved to California. I'll keep going. You want to hear more?
Yeah.
Okay. I got to write a book.
Yeah.
I am going to write
Totally.
a book. But my book's going to be like a bunch of pages, and it's going to be blank. Say, I don't remember this day. Then there'll be some meatball and gravy stains on it. Then continue. So when I moved to California, I played with a band called Axis, three-piece band. Right? We were together in Louisiana before Derringer. And then the guitar player played with me in Derringer, and then we broke up because we were young. We said, let's go do it ourselves. So we had a three-piece band. We got a deal on RCA Records. One album. We didn't have management and stuff, so it kind of fell apart. But right after that, I got a call from Sharon Osbourne, right? And they said, the phone rang, Vinny, this is Sharon Osbourne. I went, oh, okay. Yes, she goes, Ozzy's putting a new band together. We're putting a new band together with Ozzy, and we heard about you, and we'd like to fly you to England to hang out with Ozzy. I said, wow, okay. And now I'm about 20 years old, 21 years old. And wow, isn't Ozzy crazy, you know? This one, Ozzy was thrown out of Black Sabbath because he drank so much, and he was nuts. So I'm thinking, I don't even know where England is. I've only been to Canada at that point in my career. So I asked my brother Carmine, I said, I got this thing from Ozzy, what do you think? You know, I think I should do this? Or, is he crazy? He goes, oh yeah, he's crazy. You know, Carmine's been with him at a place called the Rainbow on Sunset Boulevard, where they're sitting there, and then Ozzy's eating spaghetti, and Carmine's sitting there, somebody comes over to talk to Carmine, Carmine turns this way, talks, and he turns this way, and Ozzy's sleeping in the spaghetti bowl.
Oh my God.
So I said, okay. So I decided I won't do it, right? I thought, you know what, I'm not gonna do it. I passed that gig up. So that was the first original band with Randy Rhoads, and I would have been in that band. Wow. But then about a month later, 2 months later, I don't know what it was, I get a call, and it's Black Sabbath's tour manager. And they said, this was in LA. Go, hey, you want to come? Well, Bill Ward left the tour. They were on the Heaven and Hell tour for the Heaven and Hell album. He was supposed to play Denver, and Bill Ward just left. You know, he didn't like to fly on the tour. They flew, he didn't. He had this old motorhome. I don't know why it was old, but it was old. And his brother-in-law drove, and then they left. So they were stuck. So they canceled the gig, postponed it, and then came to LA to look for a drummer. And I got the call, and they said, you want to come down to meet Tony Iommi? I said, join the band, you know, see how it goes. I said, yeah. So I went up to the hotel, it was in Hollywood, and I met the tour manager, and then I met Tony Iommi. He came in with that Axis album that I did, the three-piece band. And he said, this is good. And now I started to wonder, how did Tony listen to a vinyl record when he's on the road? Like, carry a turntable? I didn't think of that until later on. I'm going, how did he hear this stuff? So he liked the album pretty good. That was Dio. So I didn't follow Dio. I didn't really follow Sabbath. I was more of a Zeppelin fan. And I heard Sabbath. I thought it was amazing and scary. And Dio, I heard Man on Silver Mountain, and Long Live Rock and Roll. I didn't follow his career. So that's the first song we played. Let's play Neon Nights. And they were so happy. We worked on a couple of songs, then they all went to the pub. They were so happy, they want to celebrate. And I'm sitting there going, now I got to learn 15 songs that I'm not really familiar with. So I had to stay back and work with the keyboard player. So it took every day it was the same thing. We'd go and play another couple songs. Then they go to the pub until the last day. They all got nervous. So then we tried to nail it down. Because at that point, Tony and Geezer didn't play with another drummer. Bill Ward was their childhood drummer. They never played with anybody else. So Neon Nights was the first song with Ronnie, when I met Ronnie. And I don't know, 35 years later, that was the last song I played with Ronnie. Isn't that weird? because we opened with it. We put it in the middle of the set along the years. And at the last tour we did, which was 2009, it was the last song in the set. Nobody knew that was it, you know, that he was sick. So that song was quite a journey, you know. What's this? Do you want a piece?
Oh, give him another half
Any
hour.
quick questions? I'm sorry, I went off, but that's the whole story. Yeah.
Favorite drums and cymbals and why?
Favorite drums and cymbals and why? Right now I'm using the drum company, it's a small company called Sawtooth, and these drums sound amazing. I've used them on the road. They're killer. I do every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time on Facebook, a live stream.
Yep.
And I teach. It used to be like I'm teaching. Then it became like, okay, I can't be teaching 5 things at a time. I'm going to run out of stuff to teach. So it became different. I put an intro on it. I played to a song until they flagged me. Facebook flags me. I said, you know what? I'm on the song. You know, you flagged me, right? And it's a hang. I answer questions. Leslie, that's my girlfriend. She tells me what the questions are because I can't see them because they're too far away. The monitor is too far away. So I do that every week, and so I use those drums. They sound great, and Sabian cymbals because all the bands I play with are loud, and those cymbals cut through. So I love them.
Cool.
Yeah. Used them for a long time. I switched once, then I went back. So, anybody else?
Your favorite guitar player that you played with over the years?
Favorite guitar player? Well, I'm playing 2 of them, Iommi and Vivian Campbell. You know, Tony Iommi's insane. You know, yeah. We used to do sound check. You go and usually it was me and Tony doing the sound check in the arena. Difference with Tony with other players is Tony plays chords, doomy, evil chords. Wow. And you go in and you hear this massive riff, but they're chords. You know, nowadays the guitar players are all going as fast as you could. You don't hear that from Tony. Tony, you hear these chords, man, blocks of chords. You just sit down and play along with them, you know. And Vivian Campbell, you know, he's from Ireland. There's a different feel from these guys. And we just happened to lock in, you know. Tony, I learned to play behind the beat. Because the Sabbath's very doomy and more or less behind the beat, so. So those guys.
Was Vivian on the beat or ahead of beat then?
What's that?
When you played with Vivian, was it on the beat?
No, it's
or
behind the
ahead?
beat. It was kind of in the middle, but I play behind the beat now. When you play behind the beat, it's a lot heavier.
Yeah.
You know, and even when you do the fills, you go bop, bop, boom, 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 boom. When you get to here, there's no need to rush that. A lot of drummers go bop, bop, boom, 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 boom. You know, they rush that in like it's not important. That's just as important. You keep it solid, you know, steady. That thing, it's an impact, you know. So I learned how to play that way with Sabbath. Certain way to play with those guys, you know. Keep that sound. So we're good?
Yep, all right, Crypticon, give Vinny Appice a good round of applause.
Okay, sorry I was late. Can we do that now?
Yep, you can do it right now. It's right next door here.
I just followed everybody. Okay, thank you guys very much. I really
Start working on your book.
Who is?
You.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't hear so well. You have to yell at him a
What are
little.
you yelling about? We're your protection. See you guys.
See ya.
Thank you.